Some of you are not Jamboree students, so for the benefit of the non-Jamboree students, I will just quickly tell you a little bit about Jamboree. So we started out in 1993 and we train students on GMAT, GRE, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS, and we help students applying to universities which accept this course. So we are very focused on a handful of exams. We don't train for a lot of exams. We don't train for the CAT or LSAT, etc., etc. We work with on a very limited number of exams, and that's the reason why a lot of our students end up getting high scores, because we are extremely focused on these exams. Every year close to 20% of our students get 320 or more on the GRE exam. We get students getting admitted to top universities across the world every year. We have 39 physical centers across 22 cities and 4 countries. We have also been training students online, since 2012. During this year in 2020, for the major part of 2020, our classes have been going on online. We have been training students online, and a lot of the Jamboree students, they have learned with us online this year and have taken the exams. We are able to unlike purely online companies, the advantage with Jamboree is that you can come to the centers, get your doubts cleared with the faculty, etc., versus other online companies where you can't even see the faculty, right? So at Jamboree we mix the best of both worlds. You can take classes online but come to meet the faculty at the center, or you can take the classes at the physical center but do your doubt clearing and rest of the material online, right? So it is the best possible use of your time. Okay, moving on. So those of you who are not a Jamboree student yet, so if you want a free GRE demo class, either a math class or a verbal class, or if you want a profile evaluation session to understand for your profile what kind of GRE score you should be targeting, or what are the gaps in your profile and what you should be doing to fill those gaps. So if you want a free session, do leave your number in the chat, but also leave the name of the city that you are from. So leave your number, comma, the city that you are from. I hope you understood. So if for non-Jamboree students, if you want a GRE session or a profile evaluation session, just leave your number in the chat along with the name of the city that you are from. I see a lot of you typing, so I'll pause here for a minute to let you complete the typing. Okay, nobody. All right. Okay. Then I'll talk a little bit. I'll start with a little bit about the GRE exam. I'm sure the Jamboree students, you would know about this, but still, let me just cover. So the first section that you will get is the analytical writing assessment. So the GRE exam starts with the AWA section. This section is called the AWA. So it is you have to write 2 essays and you will get 30 minutes per essay. So basically, this is a 1 hour, 1 hour section, and this is scored on a scale of 0 to 6, right? So it's a 1 hour section, and it is scored on a scale of 0 to 6. This is what the GRE exam starts with. Then there are 2 verbal sections. Each verbal section is for 30 minutes and it has 20 questions. So basically 40 questions. You get 40 verbal questions. Then there are math section, 2 math sections. You get 20 questions per math section, but you have now 35 minutes. So just note here that for in verbal, you have the same number of questions as math, but you have got lesser time in verbal than in math, right? So for both math and verbal, same number of questions, but in verbal you have got lesser time. And then you get an unscored section. The unscored section can be either math or verbal. So and you will not know which is the unscored section. So on GRE exam day, your exam will start with analytical writing. Then after that, you can get a verbal section followed by a math section, followed by a verbal section, then a math section, and then verbal section. So this is the order in which you may get the sections, right? And because you got like 3 verbal sections, you will know that one of them was unscored. So that means you got one unscored verbal section, but you will not know which one. The first, one could have been the unscored one. This one could have been the unscored one, or this one. So you will not know. Or so this can be one order of sections that you will get. Or you, after the analytical section, you may get a math section also, then a verbal section, then say another math section, then another verbal section, right? And the another third section. So this can be the order as well, right? So you know so basically, after the analytical writing section, you can get anything. You can get a math section or a verbal section. And if you get 3 math sections, it means that one of them was an unscored section, and if you but you will not know which one. And if you get 3 verbal sections, then one of them was an unscored section, but you will not know which one. If you get a math section as unscored, then it will have 20 questions and you will have 35 minutes to solve that. If your unscored section is a verbal section, then you will get 20 sections and you will get 30 minutes. So there is no way for you to differentiate, between the unscored section and the no, and the scored sections, right? So again, Garima, if you get a math section which is unscored, you will get 20 questions, but the time will be 35 minutes. If your unscored section is verbal, then again you will get 20 questions and to be done in 30 minutes. So that's why the GRE exam becomes a little difficult. You will have so many sections to do, and you will have to stay focused till the very last section. Okay. So if your unscored section, if let's say your unscored section is the first section, so you have to be like, you will have to stay focused till the last question, of the exam. If your unscored section was this section, let's say, then you have to stay focused till the very last question, and you will not know which ones. Even the official, like the exams, a lot of the official mock tests that you would get, or a lot of the full length mock tests that you would get, you will have only 2 math and 2 verbal sections. Most of the full length mock tests do not include an unscored section. Therefore, it's very difficult to actually prepare for the GRE exam. So those of you who are Jamboree students, you would know that the Jamboree full length test, of course, they include the unscored section, but most other mock tests, GRE mock tests, they do not include an unscored section. So you are like literally sitting for 30 minutes less, and therefore, your whatever scores you get in the mock test, on in the real exam, you end up getting slightly lower. Okay. So unscored means that your performance in that section does not get counted. Okay, that is the meaning of unscored. So it is just to test your stamina, basically, just to make sure that So it's a trick. It's a not trick. That's what, like, the GRE. That's how they make it difficult for you, right? Okay. Now, what should you do? How should you prepare for the GRE exam? So your preparation should be focused only on the GRE exam. So for that to happen, you should know first, what is tested on the GRE exam, what type of questions are there, and what the if math, for instance, what level of math is tested, right? So the first step for you is to know is that, like, what's the syllabus that is covered, and then you should prepare accordingly. Do not treat your GRE preparation as, like, okay, let me first improve my grammar. So that won't happen. Your whether your grammar is good or bad, that is not going to have any impact on your GRE score. One myth that students have, they feel that, okay, I have to prepare for the GRE, so let me memorize as many words as possible. Okay, so that is not the right approach. There are, like, millions, billions of words in the English language, but not all of them are tested on the GRE, right? So if your goal is overall vocabulary improvement, you can keep doing that. But just because you know a lot of words does not mean that you will get a good GRE score. Also, just because your vocabulary is not very strong does not mean that you will get a low GRE score. GRE is a reasoning exam. Okay, if I mean by knowing a lot of words or by not knowing a lot of words, your score will not get impacted that much. So again, for GRE, don't treat the GRE preparation as let me improve my math. So the your overall math skills, more than knowing formula or math skills, the focus should be on strategies and shortcuts, right? You have to solve, a certain number of questions within a certain time frame. So shortcuts and strategies, that has to be the focus of your GRE prep, not just generic, vocabulary or generic grammar or generic math preparation. So that does not work. When you are practicing, always focus on quality versus quantity. Okay, what it means is that sometimes I get students who like use like 10, 12 books. They cover all the content that is available on the internet, all the content that is available in the market, and still they end up getting a low score. So that's because you are, it's not like GRE preparation is not like your college exams or any other exams. No matter how many questions you solve on the GRE, that you are not going to get that question, right? Every student gets a unique question. So you're, even if you do past GRE papers, still you will not encounter the same question, right? So your focus should be on getting the strategies correct, not getting that particular question correct. And that's where students go wrong. So if you are doing, let's say, 20 questions as practice, usual tendency of students is to then review the questions that they get wrong, right? Let's say you solve 20 questions as practice and you get, let's say, 5 wrong. So usually students then just review the 5 questions, why they got them wrong, etc., etc. Okay, they completely ignore the 15 questions that they get right, and that is a very that is not the right way to prepare. So when you are preparing, no matter how many questions you do, if you are doing 20 questions, irrespective of whether you got them right or wrong, you should review all the questions. GRE, most of the questions are multiple choice. So of the 5 options or 4 options, if you are picking one, you have to be 100% sure why the other 4 are wrong. Okay, so the right way to approach is to know why the other options are wrong. Okay, not just to know why that particular option is correct. You should also know why the other options are wrong, because that is the strategy. Those are the rules that will get tested on the GRE exam. That particular question will never ever encounter it on the GRE exam. Okay, so be very careful about spend your time wisely. If you are spending 1 hour every day to solve questions, then you should also spend 1 hour to analyze the questions that you have solved. As I said, you have to be very sure why the other options are wrong. All right. GRE, as I said, it begins with the analytical writing assessment. For 1 hour, you will be writing essays. And this section is the only section for which universities have a cutoff, right? So you have to get at least a 4 out of 6. The AWS section is scored on a scale of 6. So you have to make sure that you get at least a 4. If you want to apply to the top 50 universities, then you need a 4 out of 6 in your AWA essays, right? So don't ignore it. Once you're done with your classes, once you have started writing the full length test, make sure that you write the AWA essays also. Send those to your faculty, have them graded. Make sure that even if your overall score is 330, but in AW you get 2, you know you are not going to get admission in the top 50 universities. So do not ignore your AWS section. Don't leave it till the end. So these are some basic steps, using which you should start your GRE preparation. First, understand what the syllabus is. Then make sure that your preparation is focused only on the GRE, not on overall grammar improvement or vocabulary improvement, etc., etc. And do not focus on the number of questions you are solving. You should focus on how you are utilizing your time. You should spend equal amount of time on reviewing the questions as well. And the last and the most important point is that GRE is all about time management. it is a very tiring exam. It's a long exam and you have to stay focused till the very last question. So time management and building your stamina, these two are really, really important. Therefore you should start, doing your, I mean, once you're done with your classes, once you're done with the basic concepts, you should start, like timing your, how much time you are taking. Don't just focus only on your accuracy. If you are getting 100% accuracy, if you are solving 20 questions and all 20 are correct, but you are taking double the time, then it's useless, right? So the focus should not only be on accuracy. You should, time management is extremely crucial. Okay, now just let me just walk you through a little, kind of. So GRE is scored on a scale of 260 to 340. Okay, the math section is scored on a scale of 130 to 170. Verbal, again, 130 to 170. So basically, even if you get everything wrong, you will get a 260. So the bare minimum that you will get just by showing up, is 260. And the maximum that you can get is 340. Therefore, you have got 80 available points to score. Understood? 340 minus 260 is 80. So 340 minus 260 is 80. So just if you just show up on the day of the GRE exam and don't do anything, still you will get a 260. And the maximum that you can get is 340. So therefore, you have 80 points to score. Now I'll show you the breakup of these 80 points. So math 40 points and verbal 40 points. Now in verbal also, within the verbal section also, for reading comprehension, there's 20 points. And for the fill up the blanks type of questions, there are 20 points, right? So on the GRE verbal section, you have got reading comprehension kind of questions where there is a passage and there will be questions associated with it. Those are called reading comprehension. And then there fill up the blanks type of question where there will be a sentence with some blanks and then you will have to fill up those blanks. So the fill up the blanks type of questions, there are 20 points for those, and for reading comprehension, 20 points. Now within this fill up the blanks type of questions also, there are about the 10 points will be questions based on reasoning, where the words will not be difficult. The word meanings you will probably already know, but the reason, understanding the sentence, is the key skill that that question is testing you on. So those reasoning based questions are for 10 points. And there will be about 10 points where you will need to know the words. So your vocabulary knowledge will be tested, right? So this is how it works out. So within, as I said, within your fill up the blanks type of questions also, there will be 10 questions that are testing you, 10 points, I mean 10 points for questions that are testing you on your reasoning ability. And there are about 10 points for which you will need to know the meanings of the words to get those questions correct, right? So as I said, you start off with 260. Okay. And for the math section, let's say, for math section, your vocabulary knowledge is not important, right? So you, if you like, even without having great English, even without having great vocabulary, you can, you should focus on getting the 40 out of 40 in math. Then the 20 points for RC, right? This also, the reading comprehension is also not based on vocabulary. This is purely, there's a passage, how you are able to read the passage and how you are able to like answer the questions, that's more important. So the 20 points of math, your vocabulary knowledge is not important. 20 questions of RC, your vocabulary knowledge, even without that you can get them correct. The 10 points for reasoning, this is the skill is reasoning, right? So you don't need, you don't your vocabulary is not getting tested. So let's say your vocabulary is very poor, let's say your vocabulary is very poor and you get, zero. You get zero for these 10 points, out of these 10 possible points, let's say that you get a zero. Still you can end up with a 330. So don't be under the assumption that, oh, my vocabulary is bad, so I will get a low GRE score. So even if you like, get, zero in the vocabulary related questions, still you can end up with a 330, which is a great score. So now a common mistake that Indian students do now while preparing for their GRE exam is that they spend about, half of their time in learning vocabulary. So if they are preparing for a GRE for like 1 hour a day, half an hour they will spend on, half an hour they tend to spend on learning vocabulary. So 50% of the preparation time, students tend to spend on vocabulary, which is a completely wrong approach. And another mistake that students make is that, they become overconfident in math. They a lot of the GRE test takers are engineers, so of course, they know math, but they become overconfident. So this getting 170 out of 170, in math is very possible. So getting these 40 points is very possible, right? So don't ignore the math section. This is like your low hanging fruit, right? First, get these 40 points. Even if you just manage to get this, still you get a 300 score, right? Let's say you get a 0. Let's say you get everything wrong in the verbal section, but you get everything correct in the math section, still you can get a 300, right? So while preparing, keep these things in mind. Everybody clear? Everybody clear? Okay, moving on. So there is no negative mark on the GRE exam. Somebody wanted to know, is there a negative marking? No, there is no negative marking in the GRE exam, right? You don't get points for you don't get negative points for guessing the wrong answer. Okay, so a little bit about GRE vocabulary. The direct vocabulary is not tested, and you're not only contextual meaning is tested, and exact meanings or subtle differences in meanings is also not tested. So if you just know rough meaning and a rough estimate of the meaning of the word, that is enough. The maximum weightage is given on the tone of the words, right? So maximum weightage goes for the tone of the words. I mean, tone means whether the word is a positive, negative, etc. Okay, so if you can identify the tone of the words, then that is the more important skill. Okay, so let's try out a couple of questions. So I see that a lot of you are typing in the chat window. Please leave your questions for now. Once I'm done with the session, we'll have a Q&A session. All right. So please hold on to your questions. So we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Okay. Can everybody see the question on the screen? So this is a type of question that is tested on the GRE exam. So I'll give you a minute to solve this. Once you are done, please type your answers in the chat window. The Jamboree students would probably already know. The other students, please take your time, solve this, and type your answer in the chat window once you are done. Okay, so the key to solving the fill up the blanks type of questions is to understand the sentence. Understand what kind of word is required in the sentence, right? So the steps that, first of all, don't look at the answer options. Start by reading the sentence. Okay, let's read the sentence. If animal parents were judged by human standards. So what this is trying to say is that if we compare human beings, if we compare animal parents with human beings, or with what is expected of human beings, so we understand what they are trying to say. Okay, the cuckoo would be one of nature's more dash creatures. Okay, so right now till here we have no idea what's the blood, more, good, bad, Now we have no idea what this blank is, right? But we read further. Blithely. Okay. So now this is one trick that GRE uses. In the main sentence itself, they will give you a word, whose meaning you are probably not sure of. That's okay. Don't, if you don't know the meaning of blithely, don't worry about it. Right? Just read forward. There will be other clues as well. Okay. So one of nature's more dash creatures, comma, laying its eggs in the nests of other birds and leaving the incubating and nurturing to them. So what does the cuckoo do? The cuckoo lays its eggs in the nests of other birds and then leave the incubating and nurturing to the other birds, right? So now is this a good thing or bad thing? Is this a good thing or bad thing? Can you type in the chat window if the cuckoo is like laying its eggs in the nest of other birds and not taking care of the babies? So that's a bad thing, right? So the blank will be what? Negative, right? So what kind of creature would you call the cuckoo? Definitely not. So the blank will be a negative word. This much everybody agrees with me? So the blank will be a negative word. We are looking for a negative word in the blank, right? And now we are comparing the cuckoo's this behavior with human beings. Now imagine human beings, if they like give birth to the child and then like just leaves the baby with somebody else, doesn't take care of the baby. So that kind of a human being, what would you call? Would call them maybe irresponsible, maybe negligent, definitely not good, right? So for the blank we need a negative word and something related to being irresponsible or negligent, right? So let's look at now. With this much information, now let's look at the answer options. So the first thing to do is to eliminate the positive words. Now of these, industrious is a positive word, right? Industrious, the word comes from industry. Industry means hardworking. So hardworking is a positive quality. I need a negative word. Domestic is neutral. If I say that the cow is a domestic animal, so there is neither any good about it nor any bad about it, right? So it's a neutral word. So I need a negative word. Now I'm left with three words: mettlesome, lackluster, feckless. Now lackluster. So a word that begins with lack is a negative word. Lackluster. Luster means shine. Okay. Lackluster means lacking shine. Matlab non-glamorous. No, it means something that is non-glamorous. So now being irresponsible or not taking care of your children, that has nothing to do with glamour, right? That has nothing to do with shining. That has nothing to do with being dazzling or brilliant, right? It's not a relevant negative word. Now you're left with mettlesome and feckless. Let's assume that you don't know the meaning of either word. So in this case, one trick, when you are left with two answer options and you don't know the meaning of any of these words, then the trick is to break the word down. So mettlesome, okay, and feckless. See, a sum is a positive word. Everybody agrees? Sum. No, sum is a positive word. Less is negative. So words with like some, words that end with some, like handsome, wholesome, they're usually positive. So you can guess on exam day if you don't know the meanings of the word mettlesome and feckless. So you have to guess, right? But you also have to guess intelligently. So some is mostly a positive word because some is a positive word. So you can eliminate it. Remember, we are looking for a negative word, right? So feckless, even without knowing the meanings of the exact meanings of this word, just by guessing intelligently, you can get to the correct answer. By the way, mettlesome means courageous or brave. Metal, you may have heard of the word metal, right? That prove your metal. So metal means what, So basically, mettlesome is a positive word, but even if you don't know the exact meaning, you can guess intelligently, right? And feckless means irresponsible. Everybody understood this question? So a lot of it is strategy, right? A lot of it is strategy. Okay, now this is a type of question where there is one blank and there will be two correct answers. So one blank and there will be two correct answers. So you have to pick two answer options, from the available options. Okay, so let's try. Again, the Jamboree students would know. So Bhuvan, you are asking what about gruesome? Yeah, there are some words, that end with some and they are negative, like gruesome or troublesome. That's fine. But majority of the words are positive. So it's a it's a guess, right? So you have to pick two answers, not one. You have to pick two words. This is a type of question where there are two answers. So if you look at this question, you probably would know the meanings of most of the words. So vocabulary wise, this is not a very difficult question. The key skill that is being tested is your reasoning ability. Okay, whether you can understand what is being said in the sentence or not. Okay, so let's read. The notion that a parasite can alter the behavior of a host organism is not mere fiction. Now, again, this is another trick that GRE uses. Instead of saying something directly, they will just say it in a roundabout manner. Not mere fiction means what? When I'm saying something is not fiction, I'm saying it's real, right? Everybody agrees? So, does this sentence is saying that a notion that blah 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 is real. That's all. But instead of saying is real, they are saying is not mere fiction. So they are just complicating it. So in your head, simplify it, right? Is real. That is what this first sentence, first half of the sentence is saying. And then there is a semicolon. So whenever there is semicolon or colon, then the portion before it and after it, they run parallelly. They mean the same thing. Okay. So indeed, the phenomenon, what phenomenon? A parasite can alter the behavior of a host organism. So this is the phenomenon that they are talking about, is not even something. So not mere fiction plus not even something. So this not even X, whatever the blank is, not even X also means real. Okay. So I now need two words where not even that word will mean real. Now let me go through the answer options. Not even observable. Does that mean real? Not even observable means you can't even see it, right? If you can't even see it, so that's not gonna be real. So this is wrong. Not even real. Not even real is definitely not going to be real. So that's out. Let's say that you don't know the meaning of the word conspicuous. So we'll not we'll come back to it later on. Not even rare. Not even rare means it's abundant. A lot of it is there, right? So of course it is real. If a lot of it is present, if it is very very common, then it is real. So not even rare. So one of my answers is rare. Not even imaginable. That means you can't even think about it. If something you can't even think about it, then of course it's not real, right? It is unthinkable, so it's not real. So that's out. And say not even infrequent. That means very frequent. It happens frequently. So if something happens frequently, it's real. So my two answers are rare and infrequent. I don't know the meaning of the word conspicuous, but I already got my two correct answers. So if I can eliminate it. Okay. Everybody understood? So in this question, understanding the sentence, getting to this relationship is more important than knowing the meanings, exact meanings of the words. So if you just think about the meanings and try to plug it in, you will probably, it will take you a lot of time. You may still get it correct, but it's gonna take you a lot of time. So this brings me back to the point that GRE is a more a reasoning based exam than a vocabulary exam. So if your reasoning skills are good, the strategies that we teach students, the keyword strategies, a little bit of like theory, like what's the what role a semicolon plays, etc. A little bit of theory, a little bit of strategies. That with that, you should be able to get a good score, right? Of course, you have to remember what we are teaching you, but you don't have to memorize thousands of words. Okay. Anything? Did everybody understand these two questions? Okay, now a little bit about math, right? GRE, as I said, it also has a math section as well, and most of you are probably engineers, and you will find the math section easier than the verbal section, obviously. And now the GRE, even the quant section, application of basic concepts, a lot of common sense, some formula, tricks and shortcuts that will be teaching you, and how to see, when you have lots of formula, how to start off, which formula to pick up, that's where your reasoning skills will come into the picture, right? So this is what the GRE quant, to ace the GRE quant section. No, it's a little bit of everything, but the key skill, the most important skill that you will need is your analytical ability or reasoning skills. To solve a math question, first your basic concepts have to be in place. So of course we train students to do that. We give you the basic concepts. You'll have to understand the question, whether it's a math or verbal. Understanding what you're required to do, reading the question carefully is extremely important, and then you approach it, right? Now, uh, uh, according to like the whatever math you have learned in school or college till now, in some places, and it's a little different from what is tested on the GRE exam, right? Some of the rules are unique to the GRE exam. So let me just take this example. uh, what is the answer to this question? What is the answer to this question? Can everybody see the question? Yeah, so what is the answer? Seems like an obviously easy one, right? Okay, so now this, you know actually this obviously, right? Now in school, so in the Indian education system, we know the BODMAS rule. Everybody knows, bracket, first bracket comes, then off, divide, multiply, addition and subtraction. This is the order of the functions that you have to utilize, right? Everybody knows this, that you start with bracket and that's how you go. But on the GRE exam, on the GRE exam, what is tested is a rule. The rule that you have to apply is called PEMDAS, not BODMAS, right? P stands for parenthesis. It's the same as bracket. There is no off. There's exponential. Now in BODMAS rule, there is no exponents, right? In this case, the 4 is the exponent here. So first you have to apply the bracket, then the exponent, and these two are reversed. In BODMAS rule, you do division first and then multiplication. In PEMDAS rule, you do multiplication and then division. The other two remain same. So the GRE questions, to solve the GRE question, this is the rule that is applied, not this one. So this is one small thing, but a lot of Indian students end up, making mistakes on some questions because they are not aware that on the GRE, this is the rule. This is the rule that you have to apply, not BODMAS. Now, with this in mind, so your minus 2. So you first solve the exponent, right? How do you solve the exponent? Minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, right? So the answer is not minus 16. The answer is 16. Seems like a straightforward, easy question, but depending on what rule you apply, you will get a different answer. Right? So for on the GRE, this is equal to 16, not minus 16. So there's some differences like these. once you know those, once we cover those, you know, right, then you will end up with the correct answer, right? Okay. So moving on. So like, you know, again, as I said, if any of you, if you guys want a demo class, you know, we'd be happy to give you a demo class. You can leave your number in the chat along with the city that you are from. In the meantime, I'll be happy to take questions. If you have any question, you can raise your hand. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand and I can give you mic access. So yes, Bhuvan, what's your question?
Which mode of exam is better, online or pen and paper?
GRE happens only online.
I read that 2 times a year there is even offline.
No, it's a GRE is a completely online exam.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Alina, what's your question?
Yeah, ma'am. I had a doubt about the other 260 marks.
What other 260 marks?
Like, how do we get the other 260 marks directly? Like, what
The computer gives
does
that
it
to you. You don't
include?
have to do anything.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So the 260 on the GRE is equivalent to a 0 actually.
Okay.
Yes, Sriram, what's your question?
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I was asking that what proportion of the maths accuracy should we have during the GRE paper? I mean, I know the questions may be straightforward and logic based, but still, how much accuracy should we have in our math section?
You can of the 40 questions, you know, so you can get about, even if you get around two questions wrong, you can still get a full mark.
Okay. And ma'am, one last question I want to ask. Actually, I am not actually aware how what is the total score of GRE? Matlab, what
40.
is the 340?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. That was all from my side.
Kamaljeet.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, a subjective paper of physics is equally important or not?
If you're applying for a PhD in physics,
Yeah.
then yes.
And general also, both?
Come again?
General also means general paper we also have to do, and subjective
Yeah.
also
Yes,
both?
you have to take both. Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Neha, what's your question?
Good evening. So I wanted to ask in multiple choice questions, suppose there are two right answers, okay? And if I only guess one right and one wrong, will I be getting the mark for the one right
No,
answer?
no. You have to get everything correct. There is no partial marking.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anybody else has any question? Yes, Suvarchala.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, my question is if we are trying to do MSc, so both papers are required or one?
Understand your question? Both means what?
एक तो जनरल पेपर होता है और एक सब्जेक्ट पेपर होता है
MSc in what? किसमें MSc करनी है आपको?
मैथ्स
उसके लिए आपका जनरल से हो जाएगा.
ओके और अगर मैथ्स में पीएचडी करना हो तो
फिर आपको चाहिए होगा.
ओके ओके मैम.
Yes, Ankita Srivastava.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is this: what will be the Jamboree strategy for the classes? Like how many classes we will be getting? And
So there are 10 math and 10 verbal classes, 60 hours of classes,
okay, ma'am.
right? And after that, so basically our program is a 1-year program where there are 60 hours of classes. Then we also have an online platform where there are sectional tests, topic wise tests, full length mock tests. GRE is a no is an online test. So I mean, as much content you can do online, you should be doing online. So we have our own platform for that.
Okay, and ma'am, faculties will be allotted to the candidate simultaneously, or I mean spontaneously, or we will be getting the freedom to choose some centers or all. Actually, I'm from Bangalore, but will I be getting that faculties from Bangalore or some?
Yeah.
Because
See,
it is a
if you
online
want, if you see, you can attend the classes either online or physically in the in the Bangalore centers, right? So in Bangalore we have centers in Jayanagar, Indiranagar, Malleshwaram, etc. Right? So you pick which center you want to attend classes in, and then you'll get a physical teacher who will be teaching you. We also get a lot of students who are learning online from us, so they don't come to our physical centers to take classes. They learn online, right? So there, the faculty can be from anywhere.
Okay, and if in case I want to get enrolled with some other countries, like sorry, from other cities like Kolkata or Delhi, so can I get the faculties from there, or is it required that wherever I'm right now, then I have to get the faculties from that zone only? Is it like?
I did understand. So you are moving. You want to move to Kolkata later on, or something like that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. So once you complete your classes, let's say you enrolled in Bangalore and you complete your classes, then you have to go to Kolkata. Then for doubt clearing, etc., you can go to a Kolkata center and meet the faculty there for your doubts and everything.
So I need to go there physically. Means online classes will not be provided in that case.
So online will also be provided. I thought you want physical classes.
No. I am looking for the online classes only,
Oh
ma'am.
yeah, the online classes, yeah, of course. The faculty can be from anywhere.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Venkata? No, I mean, sorry, Yashashvi, what's your question?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, at the beginning of the seminar, you've told about how personally you would give out applications. You'll help them with applications.
What's the applications? Yep.
Yeah, can you elaborate on that part?
Yeah, we have a product called Admissions Counseling Services, where we help students, right from, profile building to shortlisting universities, writing SOP, statements of purpose, letters of recommendation, CV, the online application forms of universities, visa counseling, etc.
Okay, so all of that will be covered.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll take a couple of more questions before we end. So Martha, what's your question?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that GRE, we can sit at home and give the exam, or we need to go to the centers to give the exam?
See, till now, like this, till from April onwards, the GRE, you can take the exam from home also. So we don't know, whether in future also they will allow to do so. But during this pandemic, GRE had given students the option of taking the exam from home also.
And if we want, we can go to the centers also. Is that available?
The centers were mostly closed, that's why,
Closed.
right, yep.
Okay, so if we have to take at home only.
Yeah. If the center, if wherever you are from, if the GRE center is open, then you can go to the center also. But if not, then you can take it online from home.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Avani Srivastava, what's your question?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the essay thing, which you said like we have to write down 2 essays and we were given 30 minutes. So
60
what
minutes.
or like how
30 minutes for each essay,
30
60
for
minutes.
each? Yeah. Yeah. So, like, how do we have to write it down? Like, what will be the structure or something? Is there a word limit specified or something like that? Like, what is, how should we present it? What is it that they desire in the answers so that we
There are
get,
two types of essays. So there in the one is called the issue essay, where you will be given a topic and you have to write on it. The argument essay, you will be given some, data piece, paragraph kind of thing, and you will have to prove that the information is not logical or it is not making sense, right? So the both the essays, there are different approaches to both I mean, there are totally different approaches for each essay. There is no fixed word limit. You have to type it out, on the computer itself, but there is no word limit.
okay, and the topics that will be given will be of like whatever is happening currently, something
It can be
relevant
anything.
that we
It
can.
can be anything. But
Thank you
it's
so
you
much.
will not require any general knowledge to write it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so that's all for now. Thanks everyone. I hope you got some information that you may use in the future. All the best. Have a great week ahead, everyone.